Howdy everyone, it's Glenn with the Cactus Atlas, and today I find myself in Prescott, Arizona, about to hike a trail in the Granite Dells known as the Constellation Loop Trail. Alrighty folks, let's head over to these big granite monoliths that are really what the Constellation Trails main focus is, the fun part. But there's a sad story to share with you guys about where this place got its name. So far we're just walking through a forest and there's not too much to see yet. Although where I come from in Phoenix, just walking in the woods is good enough for me. Shade. So the total miles for this thing, I'm honestly not sure what to say because there is a loop to this, but there's also a lot of trails that kind of crisscross through this granite wilderness we're gonna walk through. Wilderness might not be the best choice of words, but I think we're approaching the big granite boulders, which is really what I'm on the hunt for here. One of a couple things. And wouldn't you know it, it's those legendary white dots of Prescott guiding our way through the trail. So we keep a lookout for that just to make sure we're on the right trail. We did a hike in this general region at Watson Lake, down to an old dam, not that long ago. And we talked about these white dots that the city of Prescott sprays on rocks to help hikers navigate their way through places like this. So go check that other video out. So that was quick. You really get into the granite part very quickly here, not far from the parking lot, and it's a totally different world. Really cool. So this is beautiful out here, especially the further you look back there, but I don't think we're going to be getting back closer to those taller formations, unfortunately. I think that's private property over there. So this is I think this side of the trail is about the closest you get to some of that stuff. We're going to keep going. There's still more to do, but I didn't really realize that. That's kind of unfortunate because I was hoping we could actually go climb a little bit. We might be able to, so we will wait and see. All right, we have a lot of trail left actually, so I just reconsulted all trails. We got a ways to go, and I do think we might be approaching some of that stuff, the cool looking granite formation, so I may have spoke too soon. I always like to pause and look for beautiful blooming things, and this looks like some kind of thistle plant to me. This is where I need your guys' help in the comments, is to tell me, what is this? I've not seen one of these before on my hikes, but my guess is a thistle. And also right beyond that thistle is this cactus here that's really beautifully blooming, and I gotta watch out for rattlers back here for sure. But isn't that spectacular? There are a ton of birds back here, making me want to learn more about birds. I keep seeing these really blue ones that are very chatty, flying back and forth. I don't know if they're Mexican jays or something close to that. I know I've seen those down in like Chiricahua before, Trying to get a closer look, so we'll see if I can find one that I could zoom in on. They're kind of difficult to get on camera. I always like seeing strange bugs that I've never seen before. I don't know, does anybody know what that is? I mean, technically I should be telling you what that is, but I have no idea. Okay, so let's talk about the unfortunate incident that happened here in this general vicinity back in February of 1959. There was a US Air Force aircraft, which was known as a Super Constellation, a 121G, that lost control and just crashed straight into the earth in this general vicinity. Eyewitnesses at the time talked about hearing a loud explosion, and some even saw like a fiery cloud, like a mushroom cloud shaped explosion over here in this area. Very violent. Needless to say, everybody died on the aircraft. I don't think there was a chance, and it happened very quickly, but because the aircraft is known as a Constellation type aircraft, that's where this trail got its name, the Constellation Trails, probably as a memorial to that dreadful day. This is something that's interested me in it for a while, and I've wanted to come up here for the last few months just to hike the trail because I've heard so many good things about it, and it isn't disappointing, but also to kind of see the remnants of that disaster, which we are going to see here in a little bit. But before we do that, I do want to do a little bit of time travel, where I looked at an aircraft that I think resembles very closely the one that crashed in this area. Looky what we found here. Through the magic of time travel, we've transported ourselves to Pima Air and Space Museum in Tucson, Arizona to find this plane. So no, this is not the same exact model that crashed here at the Constellation Trails area, but I believe this is very similar, if not, I don't want to say identical because I don't really know much about this, but when we look at pictures and compare the two, I mean, they are very similar. The fuselage is kind of like big like that and rounded. You got two propellers on either side and then that really recognizable tail. This particular one is the United States Air Force. It's a plane, it's called the Columbine. And guess who this transported? It transported a US president. This particular plane transported President Eisenhower between the years of 1950 and 1952. It is a little sobering and really puts in perspective the crash of one of these things. I mean, when you hear the accounts of how it just went up in flames, just like almost like a mini nuclear bomb mushroom cloud kind of thing, I can totally buy it. This thing crashing straight into the ground from a vertical drop. Horrifying. One of the Constellations by Lockheed. Really cool. All right, and we're back from Tucson, back in Prescott. Gosh, I love instant travel, don't you? And we're about to take off up this little cliff face here. I can see hikers up on that hill, so I assume that's our destination, is somewhere up there. All right, let's look back towards where we started. Somewhere across that granite landscape is the parking lot. And somewhere over there, I think, is the crash site of the Constellation aircraft. But for the time being, we're just enjoying this late afternoon landscape. All right, so whatever notion I had of not getting up and close and personal with the landscape was wrong. This is awesome. Beautiful views up here. And there's some really bright lime green stuff, lichen or something growing on that rock. Really pretty. And it's really interesting too because of the Granite Dells. It's a really localized area. If you look on the horizon, the drive in here, you just see like a lot of dead grass and just open plains like that with mountains in the background. That was a little eerie, hearing that plane fly right over, because I had a thought of, you know what, really weird. Although that Constellation was a propeller aircraft, so I don't think it would have sounded like that. That was a jet. All right, I do think I'm at the apex of the hike. If you look way down there, you might be able to see a building. That's the Phippen Museum, and the parking lot where we started is right across the street from that, just to kind of give you an idea of how far we've come. And this might actually help you see also. There's the parking lot. And we've basically come down here, and I opted to go this way, like that. And now we're here, and you can see we're about to go back down. But you can see all the crisscrossing trails that I told you about that intersect through here. One called Ham and Cheese. This part's cool back here, actually. A lot of tight squeezes and navigating amongst the boulders, but gives it like an adventure factor that I like. I did see a couple trails and other routes that go that way towards that cool stuff. I'm just sticking to the loop trail. That's the scope of today's video, but makes me want to come back and explore more. More legendary white dots to guide our way. You can see there's not really a trail here, just rocks. And it's telling us to go this way. That says all trails. You know, not that when that plane went down were they thinking about this beautiful landscape below. But quite possibly in those pilots' last moments, this is approximately what they may have seen. And as we face out this way, I see beautiful homes, some of them hidden inside of these Granite Dells, as they're known. Just a beautiful landscape. The folks that live out this way must be very happy, I would think. I forgot to mention too that there is a $3 parking fee at the parking lot here. They do have a kiosk, like a self-pay, credit cards, cash it looked like. No problem, just pay, put the receipt on your dash and you're good to go. I don't think they take America the Beautiful though, park passes. The sun's pretty much setting now back behind those mountains, and not on the horizon. There's not too much left. I think we're getting closer though, back to the beginning of the loop. And I was gonna say the climax of this episode, but I don't think that's the right way to say it. I guess we're gonna go pay our respects to what must have been horrifying, the horrifying last moments of those pilots of the Super Constellation, the 121G. Wow. These are the remnants of the plane right here. Can you believe that? I see some charred wood in there, but I don't think that's from the wreck. It couldn't have lasted this many years. Now that's an eerie sight. Just to think about the crash and actually see evidence of it right here. I was reading that people still to this day find pieces of wreckage in the surrounding area here. And if you do find that, bring it here and place it into the pile here in the memorial. Wow, that's crazy. You know, none of this stuff is really discernible to me. I couldn't tell you what any of this stuff is. I mean, I do see a couple like beer cans, like rusty cans and things, so I don't know if that's part of the wreckage, but you know, all of this other stuff looks like parts of a plane. Really having a hard time thinking of what to say about this. It's something you don't really see a lot. I can't think of another trail or another site where I've actually seen wreckage from a plane. Huh. There's the plaque that I think commemorates the aircraft, and look at that, see? I told you it looks very similar to the one we saw at Pima Air and Space Museum, doesn't it? I think that's the aircraft in question, this one here. You can see the propellers, the tail, that kind of hump here. Well, you can't see it in this picture, but that is crazy. And this plaque talks about what happened here, the very short story. And here are the names of those that perished on that fateful day. Okay, so I've found the end of the trail. I've completed the loop. Another one to mark off the list. Some stats from my all trails journey. 2.6 miles in length, 230 feet in elevation gain, not a problem, and 35 minutes a mile, hour and 58 minutes total because I stop and take pictures and do my thing. There you have it. It's always a pleasure hiking out here in Prescott through this beautiful region, but this place has a somber note to it. Constellation Trails. Now you know where the place gets its name from.